Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. Ever since the information came out that GUNKO has been serving Emu since the days of Rox D. Zebek, everything changed. That flashback, which at first seemed like just a small detail, became the foundation for one of the most explosive theories we could imagine in this saga. GUNKO is BROOK'S daughter, and that makes her someone who has lived for centuries, directly tied to the dark court of Mary Juas. Yes, Brook died, or rather, lost his original life 50 years ago, but what if something happened to him before that? Something that created GUNKO? And what if she has survived until now because of a mystical connection with Emu? Let's connect the dots. In the leaks for Chapter 11 and 55, it became clear that 8 years ago, during the Reverie, an epic clash happened between Rox and Emu, and even Herald of Elbaf was involved. And it was GUNKO who was attending to Emu in the flower chamber. That's the kind of closeness only a personal servant would have, and GUNKO was already there when Rox showed up, which implies she was already in service at that time, possibly even the result of some experiment. And how long ago was that? Definitely more than 50 years, possibly somewhere between 80 and 200 years. Yet, while the Rumbar pirates were erased after Brook's death, GUNKO remained alive in Mary Juas. That suggests manipulation. Maybe she's not fully human. Here comes the game changer. If GUNKO is Brook's daughter, that means Brook had some kind of relationship, or made a pact, or left behind a descendant before becoming a pirate, or something along those lines. Maybe a bioenergetic connection. Another possibility is that Brook wasn't exactly who he appeared to be. Just imagine. Maybe he was part of an experiment involving living energy, what some call the mother flame, and this essence was transferred into GUNKO through an unconventional ritual performed by Emu. Or maybe it was through some kind of magical influence. Brook has a soul, and GUNKO might carry traces of it. This would make sense, especially because no one has ever mentioned that GUNKO might be his daughter. If she were a normal daughter, fans would have seen Sign's blood ties, like with Sanji and his family, or Carrot and the Minx. But GUNKO is different. She's been alive for a long time, serving Emu personally. And Emu usually only keeps people around who have dangerous secrets or hidden abilities. As a servant, she's more than a servant. She's a test subject. And the wildest part? She might have been raised under Emu's custody since she was a child. But how can she be Brook's daughter if Brook lost his life? Here's the masterstroke. Brook drank from the same source that created Luffy's solar system, what happened back in Elbaf. And during that time, his essence gave birth to GUNKO more than a child. She's a vessel. Her soul seems to suffer from unusual memory wipes, but she still feels Brook. She cries when he plays music. She's deeply moved by his songs. That could be from the energetic sludge that Emu controlled and stored for years, but which also kept a link alive between her and Brook's past. And how has she stayed alive for so long? Maybe because of some childhood energy Brook released, or due to some kind of pact or experiment planned by Emu, or even Rox. That could explain why GUNKO bears marks from the abyss, as if she were a living creation from an era when the so-called gods blurred the line between body and soul. Emu himself seems to preserve people like her to strengthen his own power. So why hasn't anyone noticed? Why didn't anyone say she was Brook's daughter? Simple. No one would ever imagine she could be part of him, because she doesn't seem fully human. GUNKO herself thought her childhood face looked strange. Remember when she said she had memories but nothing made sense? That's likely because those memories came from her time as Emu's servant, when she saw Emu and Rox together, and even witnessed the fighting of elders with Herald. She saw Brook fight even if he wasn't quite the same, and she holds onto that in a subconscious, emotional way. So to others, she just looks like a fan. But here's the twist. If she's Brook's daughter, then she's spiritually Luffy's sister, and that might explain something wild. Maybe she's a part of the solar power Luffy had in the past, or a living representation of it, except now under Emu's control. And maybe Emu is saving her for some ritual at the end of this journey. Now, some might ask, if she was heart of Brook, why did Emu let her roam around places like Elbaf? The answer is simple. Emu knew that GUNKO would be protected by Brook. In other words, Emu kept her, controlled her, but allowed her to get close to Brook so she could be empowered by him indirectly without him realizing it. GUNKO's time and service may have had this very purpose, to connect her with solar energy, but in a hidden way. Another point, ever since Brook came back in that flashback scene with the wooden place, he seems different, and GUNKO seems ready to be saved or set free by him. That could be the focus of the upcoming arc, where Brook resolves his past and brings GUNKO back to life as his daughter for real, and that moment will be more emotional than any standard flashback. The idea is that GUNKO is part of Brook's solar legacy, manipulated from an early age by Emu, used as a test subject, and this makes her an essential character for the final act. If this theory is true, she's She's unlike anyone else in the world of One Piece, and we need to be ready for the impact of this plot twist. And that's where the future gets even crazier. If GUNKO is Brook's daughter and was raised as a servant in Imu's court, that makes her a bridge between Brook's dark past and the future Luffy is trying to create. And even though she currently follows Imu, her fate could be completely flipped when Brook, the real Brook, with his free soul, decides to act to save her. That would turn their relationship into something far deeper than mentor and fan. It would be a long-lost father and daughter reconnecting across the ages. Just imagine this scene. Brook plays a song he used to play for GUNKO when she was a child, and that emotional memory, buried deep within her, starts to awaken something that Imu could never erase. The moment she recognizes the melody as something only a father would play, the abyssal mark that connects her to Imu begins to weaken. She looks away, hesitates briefly to obey a command, and in that tiny moment, Brook's music and presence are enough to break Imu's hold over her. And that's when Luffy steps in. He arrives just like always, offering friendship, a hug, and freedom. At that moment, GUNKO snaps back to herself. She realizes who she really is, recognizes the trap she was caught in, and feels the desire to follow her own will, not the will of whoever has been controlling her all these years. This moment can be so powerful that even Imu, with all his authority, might not be able to stop it. After all, what could be stronger than the emotional and energetic bond between a father and daughter? Now comes the part that makes everything even more strategic. After this emotional resurrection, GUNKO can't just run off following Luffy and Brook. She served as Imu's personal servant for so long that she holds extremely important information. She knows where Imu hides secrets about the Void Century, the plans of the Celestial Dragons, the signs of the Sun's power. Her escape could trigger immediate retaliation and put the crew in danger. So, the plan to get her out of Maryjoyce would have to be delicate, maybe with a simultaneous strike by Luffy, Brook, and secret allies. Rebellious admirals, revolutionaries, Shanks. In this rescue mission, GUNKO wouldn't just become a member of the Straw Hats. She'd also become a symbolic figure in Imu's final defeat, a former test subject who becomes a shining star. Imagine her wielding Brook's sword, touching the souls of their allies, showing that true freedom can't be bought or controlled. This turn of events could cause a rupture in the marine structure, the Celestial Court, and even within Luffy himself, who would once again understand the importance not only of freeing others, but also of healing them. The big twist? GUNKO may have accessed the ancient power of the Mother Flame simply because she's connected to Brook's spiritual bloodline. And as his daughter, she might have more than just power. She might carry responsibility. This could create a new dynamic between Luffy, Brook, and her. Not just comrades, but literally family with a sacred legacy, joining the fight against Imu's tyranny, the world government, and the oppression of the Void Century. In the end, GUNKO would take her place as one of the Straw Hats with a unique identity. Daughter of an undead who survived, a servant once bound to shadows, transformed into a symbol of hope. What once seemed like just a funny little detail will become one of the deepest twists in the series, when a dark past merges with a future of light through a genuine bond between father and daughter. So as soon as Oda gives the signal, this theory might not only come to life, but also redefine who GUNKO is to the world and what her role is in the true story of Free Hearts. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.